previously. We'll see what they do against a pretty solid team, actually. Dignitas UK, they managed to take down Copenhagen Wolves, did get taken down by SK in our previous series in the EUS Challenger Series, but still a very, very solid team.
Yeah, they're just respectable all around and have really been kind of pulling things together, I think, since getting DX Alchemist into their lineup. So they are a very, very strong team, as we know, but the question is, how good are the Red? Because, like, to us, they're just completely unknown quantity. We just don't, I don't know any of these players, and I'm told they mostly play in the CIS region, so not so surprising on that front, but I just don't know anything.
So nothing's changed there then. So we'll see what Dignitas bring out against them in the picks. We've only got the bans, and for the duration of this Champion Select, we will be watching over the stream, so we will actually be behind. But as soon as we get into the game, we will be reading from the same page, so no problem there. Elise Sivir, Lee Sin banned. Sivir banned Spuddington. Do you think that Sivir actually warrants a ban? It's not a ban I've seen for, well, a couple of days. People are saying Sivir is extremely strong. I'm not sure if that translates from solo queue to competitive play, though.
I'm honestly thinking it does, though. In fact, if anything, I'd say more in competitive play than solo queue, because Sivir's strengths, the fact that she applies essentially huge map pressure, and the fact that she can split push much, much faster than most AD carries means she can farm herself up more easily and more safely than most AD carries, which in competitive is extremely valuable, and force the enemy to lane rotate a lot. She is actually really, really strong, and particularly if you're running a hard engage comp, that ultimate is just unparalleled from an AD carry in terms of utility.
Yeah, definitely. But Dignitas break out the Fresh for their first pickup alongside Renekton. Just a very solid top laner. Nitrix knows that champion in and out. And in response, we did have the Jarvan. So already looking like an engaged composition. And it's interestingly banned out Sivir because it does, I guess it does suit the playstyle of Dignitas. They're a very sort of dynamic team. I don't necessarily know if they play that type of style of Spuddington where they do like to go for the split pushing heavy rotation kind of style of play. But we did see that a lot from definitely SK.
Indeed. But I will say, the Red here seem to have actually managed to get themselves the current two OP AD carries, because Lucian is actually very much coming into the fore, and you can see it in OGN, you see it in solo queue even. It turns out essentially Lucian's ult was kind of distracting everyone from the fact that his lane trading and his burst late game is actually pretty very, very silly levels of damage. He just really, he will out trade almost any AD carry in lane, and late game he can just chunk you down. And late game, his ult gets to a point where you can chunk down someone to half health before a fight even begins, which is an incredibly powerful poke ability.
Yeah, indeed. He actually does very well in kind of like small claustrophobic environments, like many other AD carries, such as like Champion in the, sorry, Dragon Pit. I don't know what I was talking about. Champion Pit. That would be pretty weird. But yeah, Lucian is looking very strong. It seems like another AD carry which really benefits from Trinity Force. Seems to be the item that a lot of AD carries are picking up on him recently, which just basically, as you said, adds to his burst, which is one of his major strengths.
Yeah, he is the classic Sheen style of AD carry. You go short cooldown, high damage abilities, and you just use that double proc ability in the middle, as well as the Sheen proc at the same time. So you get nice chunks of damage. It does. He's not all burst. He's not like running it's not like running a mid burst mage like Syndra or something down in bot lane. He's still obviously a sustained damage character, but his focus is definitely more towards burst than his opponents. But regardless, spoken enough about Lucian for now, I would imagine, Pulse. But I want to say Dignitas here running a pretty CC heavy team.
Yeah, it's huge amounts of engage. They've got the Assault and Battery from Vi. They haven't yet picked up their mid laner. Orianna is still open. Could be a definite pickup for these guys. They have two very good ball carriers, indeed, also Fresh as well. They have pretty decent poke in the form of Varus, but it just seems like a very all-in composition. There's very few ways of them to get out once they've engaged, so they might want to go for a champion which gives them an out. They could also go Zyra in the mid lane. Meanwhile, it looks like Lysandra and Fiddlesticks potentially going to be picked up here. They haven't quite logged it in, at least on our screen, Spuddington. But what do you expect from the final pick from Dignitas? Do they need an out, or will they just go straight with the all-in kind of combination?
Ooh, it's hard to say. They may want some kind of answer to Shen. They already have that in the form of Renekton, but that has got its inherent risks where you get forced back and start to just lose to Shen, and then he's free to teleport as well. What I would say is, at the moment, they are going to be diving into a lot of CC, so they kind of just either need to go all in or try and get an answer in terms of that split push, but they can't really viably get an answer in that split push. So going for a very all-in approach does actually suit them. And indeed, Xerath will suit that pretty well, because Xerath, if your team is just all plunging in, throwing down tons of CC, tons of damage, tons of everything at them, Xerath adds another extra ton. And it also means that he's allowed to root himself in place, because while your front line is just going in like a missile, they can't really dive onto Xerath very easily. But regardless though, we'll see how that chooses to work out, Pulse.
Yeah, indeed, Suddington, and it looks like both of these teams have constructed their compositions around just going all in. Take a look at the Reds team as well. You've got the Jarvan, he'll be jumping in along with the as the ball carrier probably, also with the Fiddlesticks, another engaged champion, along with Shen, and then the burst damage from Lucian. So I would expect to see lots of fights very early on into the game, and indeed maybe a level 1 as well. We saw yesterday where we had the disastrous level 1 from SK versus TCM, where they got stuck inside their jungle and then triple killed at the first level.
Yeah, awkward situations that do sometimes occur. But regardless, guys, while we have the delay timer ticking down, we will just go to a quick break. So we will rejoin once we are actually into the game with Game 1 of this best of 3 between TheRed and Team Dignitas UK. Sorry.
Awkward.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Myself and Pulse there did just make a slight error in that we forgot to say who was going to do the intro here. But regardless, we are now live with Dignitas UK versus TheRed, and I am Spuddington, joined by Pulse.
Hey, how's it going? Generally, we have the color caster, which is Spuddington, take the intro when we go into game. But apparently that was...
I was doing it the other way around with nature. So there's stuff going on, by the way.
But there is things going on. What comes out by Fresh into his own jungle? They realize that Red is looking for this aggressive invasion, which may be for Vision, it may be for their buff indeed. But Dignitas responding in kind into the enemy Red jungle.
Yeah, so the Red taking the smart option here, they are actually going to just back out. They've got their vision, they'll know where the jungler is, they'll know where Impaler is going, and obviously if it's Vi, you want to know where she's going. But the thing that looks interesting to me here about Dignitas' play, seems like they want to know who's going to the 2v1 lane, and it also looks like they might stick around. They actually hung in that brush near Wraith Camp for a little while, as if they were going to try and catch someone that came to check things out, but looks like they're just going to back off after all.
Yeah, the fact that they went for such an aggressive invade meant that they probably weren't going to go for the lane swap anyway, and indeed there's no real reason for them to. However, the Red, in fact, looking to do that themselves, bringing their duo lane up into the top lane. And against Vi, you need vision, but you don't need as much because Jarvan doesn't have a necessarily amazingly good matchup against Vi when it comes to dueling. If he was Elise or Lee Sin, or even Volibear, then he might be able to win that trade when they both have their double buffs. But as it is, they don't need that really, like, that early game scout. Just enough to know that they weren't going to go for the swap up themselves. Nitrix takes a ton of harass in the top lane and is already forced back to turret.
Yeah, that's one of the unfortunate things when you aren't aware if the 2v1 has been swapped up for. But the interesting thing now is that Shen in this bottom lane is starting on the golems. Renekton, he's just being zoned out. You can see what he's doing, getting no experience and no gold. But a counterplay to the counterplay here for Samwise. He knows the timing when the golem is likely to be done, so he's going to try and steal it.
He's looking for it. He's sitting around the side. He's, of course, got the piercing arrow. Does he have the timing down? We're going to wait for it. He steals it! And Shen is in really bad shape and is going to have to go back to base without the healing.
That is actually really, really brilliant. I don't know whether they scouted the Red and knew they liked to make that kind of a play, but that's really, really smart play. They knew exactly what the Red were up to, and they knew exactly how to abuse that fact. That means that, as you say, Shen was forced back with no health to speak of and no experience to speak of gained. So now Dignitas have gotten a little bit of an edge in this turret race. Nitrix and Impaler are both in the top lane. In fact, Impaler is just going to take the golems himself. But seems to me like Dignitas at least get a little bit of an edge there.
Yeah, definitely. It will mean that the duo lane is slightly ahead of the top lane, but Nitrix is still level 1. Vi is going to offer, or need to offer, some sort of assistance in the top lane. Fiddlesticks is very good in these scenarios because they can push so hard. Vi looks for the 2 versus 2 gang. Nitrix just hitting that level 2, but they really just can't afford to aggress on them right now. A kill in the wrong place onto Dignitas could be disastrous.
Yeah, the flip side, of course, being that Dignitas do have a really good setup for a gank here if they can get it going. The problem is the Fiddlesticks. With that fear, he is such a big threat, and if they could get, if they can get Renekton onto Lucian, it could work out for them. If they can get Vi onto him, but with the fear and with his dash that cleanses slow effect, it's very unlikely they'll be able to get anything done. At the moment, though, it looks like the big contention point is bot.
Yeah, just throwing out a couple auto attacks, but is really just pressuring Shen hard. He lost a big minion wave and is still only level 2, just dinging up to level 3, and has forced Jarvan into the bot lane, but the Shadow Dash comes down, takes 2 turret shots to the face, auto attacks come down, looking for this follow-up, Flash comes out as well, he's still got the red blood, but first blood has been picked up in the top lane as they trade off another kill in return. Red buff still on Impaler as he chases down Nixal. Barrier comes out. Does he pick up a kill? Indeed he does. The back down to the bot lane. They pick up another kill and both of these duo lanes crumble.
Everybody dies. As it happens, so Renekton did die in that top lane, so a little bit more of an advantage for the Red there, taking another small game. However, Vi is now going to be able to push up that lane a lot faster. Actually, Jarvan is sticking around to help, so that's not going to be such a big difference between the two, but forcing kind of a very similar level of actual manpower commitment, so it's the only difference is that 300 gold, and that's not that significant on its own.
Yeah, however, the duo lane from Dignitas did not pick up any of the kills. and it did in fact go to their jungler instead. So they're going to be slightly behind Shen, which may just increase like the longevity of his tower, which is more important than them getting the kills. That's what's important here, Spullington. The fact that they can't push the tower down as fast as say Nixel can in the top lane is going to hurt them in the long run, but Renekton's actually just walked out of lane. They're going to go ahead and freeze, which is an interesting play considering they picked up the kill and know they could probably push faster.
Well, remember, the longer you freeze your lane, both the more you deny Renekton, and also the bigger your own creep wave will build up to be. It actually looks like now they're going for the fast push. They know Renekton has just absented himself from that lane, so they are just going to go for that. The question now is whether Impaler, with this level 6, is going to be able to get the gank in the mid lane. It's a very, very good chance because she is low.
Yeah, Assault and Battery comes in. They will pay, taking so much damage. Arcane Barrage comes in. She still survives on 10 HP. Jarvan coming in from the side. Didn't even need to try and save that Orianna.
Just the tiniest of tiny misjudgments there by them, but it's not going to be the worst thing to happen in the world. But I will say what is the worst thing to happen in the world is Dignitas Nitrix. He needs to be very, very careful right now. That lane, with that fear, the moment it comes off cooldown, if he gets caught with it, that could kill him.
Yeah, Renekton is nowhere near level 6. He has to be very careful balancing basically the farm he can get versus the Terrify from Fiddlesticks will in fact land, but Nixel takes the tower aggro, so surviving until Terrify comes up once again. But Nitrix really needs that level 6 for security, just to make sure that they can't dive him. But in fact, Vi is heading up into the top lane just to help him out for the next level or so.
Yeah, if he can get that level 6, that makes him a big threat. That means he can dive in with Vi and look to get aggressive. But right now, yeah, he needs Impaler there, or he could just die at any moment. He is getting quite a bit of health back, though, that Burn Shield on his parts giving him that regen. The question now, though, is becoming the tower race, and it really definitely does look like it's going to be the red favored here.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't seem like Shen is going to be pushed out anytime soon, and the fact that the blue buff is now completely vulnerable, Jarvan's going to take this opportunity to try and steal it away, plus Orianna is pushing up hard, making it even harder for Xerath to even get out of here. With the blue buff already down, this looks like another advantage picked up by the red.
Yeah, I've got to say, I'm really impressed at how well the red are playing. I say this with this weird conceit that I have where any team that I haven't seen personally is therefore not worth knowing. But for a team I don't know, they're actually... Oh, actually the bottom lane.
Yeah, Yero taking some auto attacks from Jarvan. Auto attack comes down and the Dragon Strike to finish off that kill as Orianna gets locked down. But meanwhile, Shen is aggressing onto Samwise. Flang Drag comes out, lands the auto attack for the slow, and indeed the damage. Orianna comes in with the shockwave and picks up the second kill.
Yeah, so for a team I don't really know, they are doing really well. Taking Dignitas UK kind of to the cleaners at the moment. Taking advantage after advantage. Now they're going to get this dragon. That will give them the position if they want to go for a push on mid or bot. And that just means they are starting to build up ahead of steam. Only, 2,000 gold, which is significant but not insurmountable. But really not what you would expect from a team which I've never heard of.
Yeah, indeed, and the duo lane from the red just managed to protect their blue buff, which is going to put Vi behind, is going to put their mid lane of Xerath behind, and they still haven't cleared that out yet. The red, even though not having that warded, won't have the time for the next one to kind of continue that cycle of stealing away the buffs. Doesn't really matter to them. They know that because they've committed elsewhere, it's just going to delay it, and even if they don't manage to pick up the buff, it puts them behind, and it's a safer play.
Indeed. So now Dignitas need to make something happen. It looks like Impaler is going to go for a repeat on that earlier gank on the mid lane. He is hanging around there with his ultimate up and Xerath's ult also available. But it looks like they know, and they will pay. Checks it out, finds Impaler. So a little bit of wasted time there. Dignitas UK really aren't having an easy time getting their normal snowball rolling.
Yeah, indeed. Dignitas really benefit from getting ahead early and just snowballing that advantage. When they're put behind, when they can't build up that momentum, and indeed against teams that they haven't really seen before, they don't really have a good track record as top tower is being sieged incredibly hard. Look at Team Avalanche, who were together for 8 days and then disbanded, but they completely decimated Dignitas because they didn't understand their playstyle, they didn't know what they were up against, and indeed we're seeing this with the red.
Yeah, that is kind of a funny point. For those of you who don't know, Avalanche Prime that we've seen in the last 2 EUS Challenger series have ceased to exist. We have had gaps between
Oh, Fiddlesticks in the top lane though, with the ultimate straight into Terrify. Auto attacks come down. Donuts has, however, been popped, but they will pick up this tower. So Crystal for a tower, pretty good trade.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've had gaps between EUS Challenger Series longer than the time that Avalanche Prime existed. But as it happens, though, they're still a good team, and I believe 3 of their members stayed together. Regardless of the game at hand, continuing to go in Red's favor.
Yeah, they're looking really good. Tower for tower, though, plus the tower in the bot lane means that for the early game, Dignitas will have a better time taking up that dragon with no safe sanctuary for the Red to run back to. But the fact they're so far ahead, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them instigating the next dragon and not really being a factor. When it comes to the next team fight, though, or do you think they even want to go for team fights? They're doing pretty well in their respective lanes.
Well, the thing is that the Red and Dignitas have quite similar team fights. They, both teams have, good amounts of CC, decently strong AD carries that are fairly, self-reliant. But the problem is, from Dignitas' perspective, they don't really have an answer to Shen. They don't have an answer to the split push. Sure, Renekton is going to be stronger in a team fight, but the positional advantages the Red will get from that are so strong. And their team works very, very well on the defensive. So I would not be surprised to see the Red try and abuse that fact. Dignitas' answer? Well, at the moment it looks like they're going to be going for this top tower, and they will get it, just sheerly on a slight positioning advantage. But as the game drags on, that Shen push could become really, really difficult.
Yeah, and they're going to go with the initiation. Flag and Drag came out. He's already used the Cataclysm in the mid lane. Shadow Dash doesn't connect with Samwise either. But now with Weplay coming into the top lane, Shockwave comes out onto Yarrow. At least going to pick up 1 kill. Or will they? The Sort and Battery comes out. Duke out of the way of Piercing Arrow. And they have no real follow-up to get the kill onto Yarrow. However, the Shadow Dash comes in. Ball comes out. And the Vorpal Blade. They pick up the kill.
And for all of that, we also have, in the meantime, up this bot lane, Nixar and Daimonko just continuing to push the tower. They are drowning creeps into it and also getting the tower itself. So really, really nice advantage. Impaler actually in trouble now.
Yeah, they've managed to cut them off from the side. He goes in with the engage, just enough mana for 1 Vault Breaker as he jumps onto Samwise with Shadow Dash, dropping so incredibly low. Barriers from both of these players. Auto attack comes down. Can Shen secure this next kill? Knockback flash comes through. Another auto attack, and Impaler just can't trade this one out. He's got the extra damage over time from Sunfire Cape. He's underneath the tower, juking into the brush. Can he pick up this kill with Xerath now going with Arcade Rod, the suppressing Shen? He's got the jukes, and Impaler just decides to recall as Yarrow comes back into the lane.
Yeah, no need to worry about that, but Nitrix is continuing to suffer in this bottom lane, and the towers are continuing to suffer by extension. It does look like he may take another bit of punishment here, but Nitrix cannot hold this 2 versus 1. He literally has no answer to the fear followed by Lucian Burst. It's just not a viable option for Dignitas to leave that as it is. And the problem is, for Dignitas, the Red can do exactly the same thing, and they will continue to do that. So if Dignitas are always forced to commit people to stop that duo lane, that creates big gaps in their formation for then the Red to punish them really, really hard. It's not looking good for Dignitas.
Yeah, not at all. With Dragon spawning in 45 seconds, do they even have the team fight potential? Vi is the only one with, well, 2 kills in their team. Xerath has got a kill, and so has Varus. But because they're forced to basically put themselves out of place, Impaler finds himself caught by Terrifying, talking about out of place. This is not the place he wants to be, and the Catacombs comes out. But Dark Passage from Yarrow saves the day. That is going to, however, mean that the jungler will have to recall. They're going to be without their smite. However, Impaler's staying in. Bit of a risky play, but they're going to have to run with it.
Does he have the goal for home guard? No, he doesn't. That would explain why he didn't go for the recall. He knows he's got to be there for this dragon. But also, Jarvan is actually very nearly out of mana and has no Cataclysm. So for this fight, Dignitas could actually be at an advantage. But if they get caught by the wrong piece of Orianna's kit, they will end up very, very dead.
Yeah, Jarvan only with 100 mana. They've just angered the dragon and forced him to flag and drag out. Interesting, he's gone for the recall. Red not looking like they even want to try and contest. They're going to try and go in with the engage, though, as Daimonko jumps over the wall with his ultimate. Weplay gets caught by fantastic death sentence. Box comes down, completely whiffs the shockwave, and they are just in a horrible situation as Dignitas look to collapse once again. 3 versus 2 in the upper trade. Alchemist now converging on to the jungler of of Jarvan, and Demonco gets caught on the backside auto attack, and the Arcano pulls 2-for-1 trade. And who picked up the dragon? It was indeed Vi, so Dignitas coming out massively ahead.
Yeah, really nice fight from them. Initiated by TheRed there. I feel like they just did not take account of how much AoE damage Dignitas actually had there. That will give them the opportunity now to move on, take this bottom tower most likely, although Lucian will be there relatively shortly. He's not going to be there in time, and that just kind of puts them back onto a much more even footing. It was starting to look very worrying for Dignitas, but now they put themselves back on an equal ground, and they have a much higher chance of being able to deal with stuff like that Shen split push.
Yeah, they're starting to build up a lot of momentum, picking up 2 towers over TheRed, plus picking up that dragon, 3 quick objectives in a row. That global gold will start, well, it will start snowballing unless TheRed do something about it. And in that last team fight, Spuddington, it was really strange. Like, basically Jarvan didn't retreat with the rest of his team and basically just sat in the dragon pit wanting to recall, and then was forced to use his last remaining bit of mana to escape from that. So when they eventually went for the engage, he couldn't flag and drag and CC anyone. They had already split themselves into less favourable matchups all between the team fight, and the Crowstorm didn't really connect with anyone either. It was like they had to escape because they realized that DX Alchemist would just destroy them with Arcane Barrage, but didn't kind of disengage correctly.
Yeah, if you're diving into Xerath, it becomes very, very ugly very, very quickly. And, you know, like you say, not quite the correct disengage, but going for the correct engage, maybe. DX Alchemist running. Yeah,
Flag and Drag came in, and once again, with the Shockwave, Fresh gonna throw out the death sentence, and they will just be pushing down the mid lane. However, Arcano Pulse is a very effective piece of wave clear. Alchemist takes some hits from Lucian, but they've disengaged this very effectively as Nitric potentially caught, could potentially get collapsed upon, but with Slice and Dice up, he should be okay, unless he decides to trade off with Shen, who Shadow Dashes in. Still, waiting for the Flag and Drag to come in, and the positioning advantage comes in for Dignitas. Got to make sure that they back off in the right places, and indeed they will. But their push has been massively stymied.
Yeah, so now Dignitas are on the clock once again. Shen is in the top lane, pushing and pushing and pushing, and they've actually found Jarvan.
Yeah, he's still got the flag and drag available to him, and will in fact use it, so at least they push them back. And they have a slight positional advantage as they push down the mid lane. And now Dignitas on the offensive.
Indeed, like I say, they were on the clock now, so they don't really want to allow Shen to get that big wave in the top lane going. As a result, they are going to push in this mid lane, but they're going to have to contend with a lot of wave clear and the potential engage from Fiddlesticks.
Yeah, Fiddlesticks jumping over the wall. The fear comes onto Nitrix, and once again, that was the shockwave whipping, and the death sentence lands onto Jarvan. Maybe not the ideal target, but they nuke down Fiddlesticks before anything happens. Great shadow dash onto the AD carry. Soundwise looks to back off. Piercing arrow being charged up and comes straight through onto Jarvan, crushing down their front line. Nixar trying his best to deal some damage, but maybe Dignitas can make the push count.
Yeah, they are now pretty much free to do that. Samwise has to recall though, and that's going to really slow down the damage. But the flash comes in.
The hook comes in, and the follow-up with the flame coming out. Kill picked up by Alchemist, and Firez forced to back on off into his base. But Yarrow, will he actually get taken down by the turret? Indeed he will. Nixar picks that one up, and DX Alchemist forced off to the side.
Yeah, really nice though overall. Dignitas not able to take the tower itself, so maybe the dive not worth it, but the fight on the whole went in their favor. Not allowing themselves to get pushed back by the Shen. That is the key here for Dignitas, and that flag there not quite stopping the recall.
Yeah, indeed, but lots of items being picked up by Dignitas, and already a Fiend's Unholy Grail straight into needlessly large rod and Sork Boot. Seraph looking very scary and can indeed just itemize very easily the flat AP, since he does have the inherent magic penetration. Nitrix gets caught in the mid lane, trying his best just to triple them underneath the turret, but middle tower will be taken down by TheRed.
Indeed it will. That's another nice little pickup for them. Nitrix having to recall, and the minions almost looked like they were going to reveal him there for a second, but right now that big wave in the bottom lane is going to be the target of TheRed. They want to get that cleared out of the way. Dignitas aren't going to use that time for much. It's going to give over their blue buff. Orianna actually is thinking about taking her own, but is going to discover that it is not there. So Impaler, I feel right now, wants to be making engages happen, because their team is actually starting to get stronger in these team fights in a way that I was not expecting them to be able to do. as a result of that, I feel like getting that vision control over the jungle is going to be even more important than it usually is. Vi engages are always best in those small skirmishes when you can get in on someone quite quickly indeed and follow up with the Bolt Breaker.
Yeah, it looks like to be what they're going to try and do onto the bot lane of Lucian as he is solo farming. But the kind of threat from Shen is very, well, in fact, they've basically dealt with it by not doing anything at all. He has, however, caught himself Impaler. Wants to try and use the lantern, will get across. Samwise throws out the piercing arrow, and Alchemist comes in from the side. Cataclysm comes out, but he separated himself from the rest of the team. Arcane Barrage comes in, and the charge up from the ultimate will be taking Vi as she follows him over the wall. Samwise backs off, has gone Angry Shen onto his face. Nixar follows up, looking for the auto attacks to come in. Alchemist finds himself off to the side, raining down with the Arcano Pulse. The Yarostar gets dropped. 3-for-1 trade works out very favorably into the team of TheRed, but Nitrix puts some pressure onto top turret.
Yeah, he is, and DX Alchemist now is in a position to abduct the minion line. He is behind them. He can just kill all of the creeps, and yes, Shen is fairly tanky, but he hasn't got a lot of health. If he can actually clear out this one wave here, the DX Alchemist can completely stymie this push solo, but he will get one tower, and now he has to kind of run for his life.
Yeah, Nixar follows up. He's got the red buff, but Arcane Barrage comes off cooldown. Deals so much damage. Arcano Pulse doesn't quite connect with Nixar, but either way, they have to back off. As Nitrix goes huge, picks up the turret, looking for the kill onto Fiddlesticks, but he kites him away. And eventually, Jarvan will take him down, as Alchemist picks up the kill onto Nixar.
It's just this permanent chase. Nitrix is still quite alive. Slice and Dice, it did just come up. I'm actually a little curious if he's going to be able to get away. Jarvan, Flag and Drag very, very soon. If he can cast the Q, that could give him the health.
Yep, he goes in for the Flag and Drag. He flashes ultimate, buying time for Impaler to come into the fray. Terrify comes out, and now Jarvan is the point of contention as Alchemist comes in from the side. The Flag and Drag will be up in 1 second. Can he get out of this one? And in fact, the Assault and Battery will be up in 1 second. Is he in range for it? Indeed, he is not.
So, nobody dies actually there. Renekton surprisingly tanky and gets himself out, gets his tower. So, very, very nice play overall there. But Dignitas have the they have the kind of surprising Baron call, but that actually makes an awful lot of sense if you think about it. They've got complete vision control. They knew the Red were low. They knew the Red had no jungler in the area, and they knew that the Red was not going to be able to contest it safely.
Oh, Nixar very quick on the buzzer, getting dropped very low. They look for the steal, doesn't happen. In fact, Varus will be picking that one off. His Yarrow drops incredibly low. The Colin comes across, and the shockwave completely decimates 2 members of Dignitas. Nitrix now trying to back off and run for his life, but the huge follow-up from the Dissonance will be increasing their movement speed. Won't be able to catch up to Nitrix. Well, that's not what they need to be doing. They just need to take these objectives.
And the unfortunate fact there is that Dignitas' team composition, although that call made a lot of sense, does not clear Baron very quickly. It was just one of those unfortunate times where you want that Baron really quite a lot, and you've got a long gap of time in which you can DPS it freely, but the DPS is just too low. And in the end, the Red were able to get there. They weren't able to steal it, but they were able to go aggressive.
Has to be very careful. The Bruiser's already in the action, but this is 5 versus 2. They are incredibly tanky. Bought enough time for Samwise to come in, and they have actually committed Jarvan to pick up the inhibitor, who will indeed do so. Flag and Drag comes out, and Golden Aegis Flash comes in from Yarrow, commits the ultimate as well to Jarvan. It's a best possible case scenario.
Yes, however, there is a small opportunity now for Dignitas UK. It looks like the majority of the Red are going to be able to take the dragon, and then they will have to recall. But that actually means that Dignitas have this opportunity to go for the mid-tower here. It's not a fair exchange by any stretch of the imagination, but it's better than nothing, and I think Dignitas will take that mid-tower quite gladly.
Yeah, indeed. They basically put the Red in a very difficult circumstance where they could go for the dragon, but it also, if they wanted a recall, then they would all have to commit to home guard, and they weren't willing to make that commitment. So it was like, okay, we'll go for dragon. You can take the middle turret. It's a roughly even trade.
Indeed. Okay, so now that we've kind of reset a little bit for her, I mean, the inhibitor is down. That does mean that the Red will be able to apply pressure, but it is the mid lane inhibitor. Dignitas haven't got many outlying towers, so they can defend relatively easily, and they still have got Baron buff on both Nitrix and Impaler. that is really, really nice for them, and that will mean that maybe they'll be given a little bit of breathing room. So the question now is, what is the Red's long-term goal here? Are they just going to wait for Shen to get his ultimate back and just constantly apply split push pressure? Or are they going to go for the team fights? Because it seems to me that for the last couple of team fights, they've actually been the ones coming out more or less on top.
Yeah, they have always caught Dignitas in a bad situation. Like, look at the last team fight. It was in Baron Pit, and they just completely decimated them with the Shockwave. The time before that was in mid lane, where they collapsed on them in a very good way. In fact, Cataclysm comes into the mid lane along with Stan United. Yarrow, he's got nowhere to run, and that one pick could be converted into not a team fight, but maybe an objective.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of objectives on the board that are very easy to get, and DX Alchemist is always a hugely scary threat if you're trying to take a tower by tanking it. However, they do have a minion line not that far away, but the counterpoint to that is the Yarrow's respawn time, because he's only level 11, it's actually still relatively short, and it looks like he will respawn. And by the time the Red are there and in position, he will be back in. The question is whether they then try and get a pick, because they are actually a little bit low here, the Red.
Yeah, Yarrow was not the perfect picking target. They still have super minions battering down the front door in the middle lane. But DX Alchemist, he's so far ahead, he just deletes an entire wave of Volcano Pulse. They're looking for this engagement. Impaler wants to land the Assault and Battery onto someone, but I'm not even sure they're going to win this engagement, Spuddington. They have to be very careful, especially if they're all running towards one target. Makes it very easy for a Shockwave to be landed.
That's the funny thing here. Both of the teams work much, much better on the defensive. Yes, I mean, Jarvan can get engages. Yes, you can get Thresholds. Yes, you can get Impaler engages. But both of these teams, if someone is just like, if you've got that kind of arrow going in and they just kind of bend backwards around it like a U shape, that becomes really, really scary to deal with. Nitrix actually being feared here, and I don't really see what either team is angling for off this. It's not like there are any objectives in the area.
Yeah, Nitrix is still looking to be aggressive though, and we could see a team fight breaking out for no particular reason. Flag and Drag comes in, and another whip Shockwave coming in from Orianna. The Counterblade comes in, and the Crowstorm comes out from the Demonko. He kind of does area denial, but Impaler comes in for the Assault and Battery, jumps onto Shen. Not the ideal target, but couldn't choose to follow after the Lucian as Alchemist jumps over the wall, goes in with the Arcane Barrage. Lots of damage coming out, but he's not quite in range. Hits another one onto Jarvan. This is surely a dead jungler. Flag and Drag comes out, and he will eventually die to Alchemist.
However, if you look at the top lane now, Shen sneaking through. He's living up to his ninja heritage at last, and also face planting a wall. But he is going to be able to take this top tower off the back of that, and that means that Impaler, well, I mean, Impaler is running here to try and stop him, but I don't think he can. Is he going to chase this down, actually?
He's going to start attacking Shen because of his Sunfire cape. It doesn't even matter. He's going to get out, and this now begins the very slow chase of Impaler trying to kill Shen. Jumps over the wall. He does have Vault Breaker to also follow, but I don't think he's not going to catch up in time.
Yeah, you don't want to chase him that far, because by the time he killed him, they'd probably be at the inhibitor towers. So, actually, probably coming out a little bit in the favor of the Red there on Sheely, based off of Shen's opportunistic little tower take there. So, really nice by him. I will say though, at this point, Baron is probably going to be the next point of contention, and that means wave clear is going to now reach a kind of at a premium actually at this point. Shen obviously can commit himself at bot lane and just rely on the fact that he can teleport to the fight when that happens. But Dignitas, they are going to have to either make an aggressive Baron play, which is very difficult because the wards are all there, or make an aggressive play somewhere else and just try and make up for it.
Oh, Yarrow, please don't get caught once again. One of Dignitas' biggest weaknesses as the Flying Drag comes in. This is surely a dead Yarrow. Pops down the box, but it's not going to be enough. And the killing spree comes in for Orianna. And you have to feel, Spuddington, this is not the right time for him to be falling, especially when there's an inhibitor up. The Flying Drag into Cataclysm comes out, and the culling comes in as well. Jarvan taking incredible amounts of damage as Samwise lands a perfect piercing arrow. They drop the jungler once again, and Impaler gets himself onto Nixar, getting the bruises into the right place. They will pay it still on the back lines, and still indeed has the shockwave, lands it onto both of their carries. Impaler continuing with the chase, and Fiddlesticks is the front line now for the Red, and they have disengaged successfully.
But a very nice team fight there. DX Alchemist was the one getting caught at the start, and yet, because Jarvan committed so far, and because he does so much damage, it's actually Dignitas that come out with the victory there, 4 versus 5, getting kills for free, essentially. Baron is up, and that fight will give them the chance to clear that out. That's really, really, really fortunate timing on such a good team fight there. As it happens, though, it does look like Impaler actually kind of fancies himself a dragon at the moment, but they've actually committed quite a lot of people in the bottom half of the map, and I think several of them walked past wards from TheRed.
It's very possible, but they probably won't make the same mistake that Dignitas did, and they have, however, managed to convert this into the dragon, but they're still going for it. I'm surprised, considering they knew exactly where they were, as Baron just goes invisible, because why not? And they will be starting this, and I can't tell you how low it is. Oh, it's back.
Oh, that's very nice when that happens, but oh my lord, that magic damage debuff. That might be what Dignitas was counting on. Xerath, if you're tanking Baron, by the way, because of the magic damage extra you take due to the Baron debuff, it's just ridiculous.
It's a lot.
He can literally pentakill you in one combo.
Yeah, it's very scary. The damage amplification will just destroy you, as you can see on Jarvan's health bar. He's incredibly tanky, but is being chunked down to 25% HP. The ping has gone into the top turret, and Dignitas are well aware of that fact, and both of these teams will indeed back off. So, in fact, nothing really has happened.
Yes, but that was actually quite clever by Dignitas. I mean, they fooled me, basically, because I thought that was a very questionable decision for them to go for the dragon, but just sheerly relying on their unique choice of mid laner there, they have made a nice little play, and that gave them the control over that area at the expense of one ultimate. Could have potentially, had it gone well enough as well, forced allowed Dignitas to actually take the Baron as well. So actually very smart play. Does look like Jarvan is going to face check this though.
Yep, flag comes out, we'll be checking it and seeing if we can get the smite still. It doesn't in fact happen, and Samwise picks that one up, but it does look like both of these teams are indeed gearing up for a team fight. When it comes to the next team fight, Spuddington, who are you favouring here?
Well, given that DX Alchemist is 9-1 at the moment, I would say, assuming he is in the right position and does not get caught out, it would be them, Dignitas. However, the biggest problem for them right now is once again Shen. It's that map pressure and the fact that both of the teams work so well on the defensive. If you're running at Orianna, it makes it so easy for her to shockwave you. As it is though, TheRed also aren't very good at engaging, but they don't need to because Shen. And that just makes life really awkward here for everyone who is not called TheRed or on the team of TheRed regardless.
Yeah, and definitely not the red team, because that is Dignitas. So, the Shen is going to become one of the major factors, I completely agree. And because they do have this type of team composition where engaging on the red is very risky as what they're running, then it's very difficult for Dignitas to do anything. They have committed the Renekton down to the bot lane, but that's one of the biggest problems. You commit one person and it's a 4 versus 5. It depends how fast Renekton can get back up to his allies. He'll be rotating, and Shen has decided to back off, but he is in fact just walking back to the bot lane.
The fact that Dignitas are in the red trousers is pretty important though this game, because if the Red were wearing red right now, they could have easily taken that Baron before where we saw DX Alchemist defend it. And that is actually functioning essentially as a defense against Shen, because Dignitas can defend a Baron 4 versus 5 very easily, just sheerly off the back of Xerath. If Xerath gets picked off though, that could get ugly quickly, and that is something they do definitely need to watch out for.
Yeah, indeed. It's this weird point in the game where Shen wants to push, but is finding it very difficult to. He doesn't quite have the vision control and needs to make sure no one gets picked. They're actually just clearing up the top lane, but because, as you said, both of these teams work so well and operate incredibly well in defensive scenarios, no one is really being aggressive. Dignitas are now making the play where they're pushing down the mid lane. They know they can push incredibly hard, and seeing if that will in turn force Shen back.
Yeah, it does actually seem like they're getting to a point where they can afford to just tank towers and get a little bit of harass down.
Fiddle goes massively aggressive as the San United comes in, and a shockwave lands onto Samwise, completely destroying the front and back lines. Nitrix picks up the kill onto Fiddlesticks, but Orianna picks up the kill onto Vi in return. Cataclysm comes out. DX Alchemist is being chased after by heroic defense from Yero. Will keep them back with the box. Nitrix getting out of dodge with the slice and dice, is potentially getting caught, but the Dark Passage comes out straight into the face of Shen as they're still following after, jumps over the wall with the hook and follow-up, but Jarvan coming in from the backside, flag a drag. This should be the end of the road.
Never forget, though, Yero, that, as you mentioned, heroic defense. He just jumped in and tried his damnedest to keep DX Alchemist alive, and he did. He succeeded in that goal.
He did indeed, and that's going to be one of the major factors as we have the Red trying to convert this into the objective of the inhibitor. Going to make it a little more difficult for them to push further. Plus, Impaled Samwise are heading up any second now, so Alchemist will be able to stop that. And plus, if they go for Baron, they couldn't go straight to Baron knowing that Alchemist was still alive.
Yeah, that would have been really ugly for them if that happened, but the unfortunate thing, though, is that the Red won that team fight convincingly enough that there is no potential for Dignitas to counter with a Baron themselves now. Fiery's there, going to be taking away that ward, and it does feel like the Impaler actually is thinking about going for a fight, but with Renekton down still, that seems very ill-advised. I will say, though, it seems like the Red are kind of backing out en masse, and that could get quite risky for them.
Yeah, they're low on cooldowns and they're kind of low on HP as well. They would like to go back. They have a decent amount of gold in their back pocket, but at the same time, they can't risk Dignitas just going straight for Baron. Before, it didn't work out because they didn't have the most amazing of Baron clears, but now it's later onto the game. Baron is a lot easier to take proportionally, and they have started to scale up, especially if they have their AD carry there. However, Dignitas have committed Nitrix to the bot lane. This is a little questionable.
Yeah, that could... Well, again, they can defend using DX Alchemist, but Impaler actually starting off the Baron while they've got Nitrix committed in the bot lane. A little bit of an interesting decision-making thing, but again, they can always defend this so long as DX Alchemist is alive. That means they can make these kinds of plays. The risk, of course, is that they get taken out, and it actually looks like they're going to start this Baron off again. This will prevent some of the Red members from recalling, but... well, it could get ugly for them if they can get the engage.
Indeed, and Orianna around the area, plus potential initiation from Demonko. He's going to go for it. Comes in with a flash and the Crow Storm, along with the ultimate from Shen coming in. Samwise getting completely decimated. Impaler, can he pick up the Baron? Indeed he does, but the rest of the team are crumbling around him as Nixar follows up. Meanwhile, got Jarvan and Shen also trading off, but Alchemist is completely untouched, and those damage dealers dealing the AD cannot do enough to Xerath in time. Mage Change comes out, and the stun from Arcano Pulse, but now we've got the chase coming from They Will Pay and Nixar, and it's once again Yero who will pay the price.
He is, so often is he the man who ends up dead. Some of the time it's completely unnecessary, some of the time he is being a true support. As it happens though, DX Alchemist survives and crucially keeps that Baron buff. So assuming no objectives then go down, and it will be very, very difficult for the Red to do that with Nitrix alive and with DX Alchemist alive, although this super minion push in the mid lane may give them that opportunity. It will be, you know, assuming that happens, it's actually an advantage for Dignitas, but it looks like they're going to lose this tower or at least some damage on it.
Oh, the Arcane Pulse comes in. Oh, sorry, the Arcade Barrage, I should say, from Alchemist, and that was, in fact, just enough to clear the miniwave and do a ton of damage to Nixar.
And that was, what, 2 of the ultimate procs there that did that much damage to Nixar? That is really scary stuff for him, because any team fight where he doesn't know where Alchemist is, hell, if he's just standing in a lane and he doesn't know where Alchemist is, he could be over a wall and fire the ultimate off, and that would kill him. That is really, really, really scary stuff as an AD carry, because how do you position against that big of an AoE?
Yeah, and he had the Negatron Cloak as well, so it's not like he hadn't itemized against Alchemist Burst, but it's still not enough. As long as he gets the Quicksilver Slash in time, then even if he gets the stun onto Nixar, he should be able to get out. Wait, who got the blue buff? It was Alchemist, okay. I was like, if that bird had stolen that blue buff, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah, that would have been kind of annoying, but well, as it happens, both teams are now kind of playing it, well, I don't know if we mentioned this before, but both teams work quite well on the defensive, and as a result, both teams are now playing quite defensively.
Indeed, and making it very difficult for the Red to push, plus Baron is down, so there's no reason for Dignitas to leave their base. They'll just sit there and be pretty happy for the next couple of minutes, and the Red can't really push. They can try split pushing, but one Alchemist in the right place, and the wave's dead.
And I have to say, I feel like Lucian's power curve is gonna start becoming slightly more of an issue as this time goes by. He is definitely not a weak late game AD carry, but the fact that Varus provides so much utility and the fact that he has that slightly longer auto attack range means maybe he's going to just edge out Lucian ever so slightly as the game drags on, and that's quite a crucial factor. And the other thing, of course, is that Xerath's damage is only going up as he gets more items.
Yeah, indeed. Like, he hasn't hit his kind of end point yet in terms of itemization. He's still got another item to go, and as we do hit like hyper late game Spuddington, I completely agree. Varus will start getting, well, he will start to outscale Lucian, there's no two ways about it, but the fact he's 2 and 7, he's farming decently, but he's not going to hit that point just quite yet.
Yeah, 300 farm in fact is quite a common number to see in this game, it seems. Varus, as you mentioned, yeah, 300 farm. And it combos so well with that Xerath ultimate, but at the same time, if you are comboing those things, there is a high chance you're putting yourself in a situation where Orianna can lock you down. But now with the towers gone, the inhibitors potentially being chipped down, that makes the Shen split push more scary than it's ever been.
It's interesting, they committed Impaler up to top lane knowing that they can't commit Alchemist. I would have personally gone for Nitrix, he could clear the way faster, a little faster than Vi, and they need their initiation if it comes down to it, especially their peel. Renekton kinda is just a beefcake in team fights, he provides AoE magic damage, but Impaler can start to peel people directly, or maybe they're just looking to rely on Yarrow.
Well, what they are doing quite nicely at the moment is they're having people slip out of the Red's vision range. You see, if you send someone backwards a little bit behind that inhibitor where the Red cannot see them, and they're actually looking for the engage.
Yeah, Impaler jumps over the wall with the Assault and Battery, and Volcano Pulse comes out as well, flying drag into Alchemist. He jumps out of it immediately, the flash and dash onto Alchemist actually whiffs, Nitrix is still there, and the front line's getting completely decimated. Nixar's unable to get the damage he really wants. Meanwhile, the damage is coming for Alchemist. This is a huge turning point for Team Dignitas. The Assault and Battery, in fact the Vault Breaker I should say, jumps over the wall, hits Nixar, and now the Samwise puts himself in an awful position. Yarrow unable to save him, and they should be able to get out of this one. Impaler still following up, but Nixar is still alive. Alchemist on the back lines though. Maychange comes out and picks up another kill. 3-for-1 trade, but if Samwise had been alive, Spuddington, they really could have done some serious damage.
The problem was, though, that DX Alchemist was forced to commit to clear away a big minion wave that was on that inhibitor there. It may not have been very obvious, but if he hadn't done that, it would have undoubtedly fallen. And that meant that even though Dignitas had definitely come out ahead on that fight, they were actually not as far ahead in that kind of secondary fight which broke out, in which Samwise died, as they were kind of playing as if. So a little bit unfortunate for them there, but that will give them that little opportunity now to clear away the minions, get their vision control down, as has been mentioned. And I will say, the next Baron is almost up, and it looks to me like it might become quite an important factor.
Indeed, it will at least force some sort of team fight, and at least it will drag Dignitas out of their base, so at least the Red can actually fight it out. Because as it is, the Red is finding it very difficult to siege against Dignitas. Indeed, Dignitas would find it very difficult to siege against the Red had the roles been reversed. So that point of contention in the middle of the map will at least make something happen.
Indeed it would. Alright, so 11-1 Xerath. Really strong. No flash available, and we saw actually at the start of that last fight in which they won, Jarvan jumped on him and he flashed out, which was really key. I have to say, I feel like the Red are so very slowly losing momentum here, but I'm not sure, because it's just so back and forth across the board. And actually it looks like Dignitas are going to go for this mid push now. That will force them back, but I will also say, regardless of what else happens in this game, the Red really playing well.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely on par with Dignitas. That's a stage in the game. Oh, Yarrow gets caught once again, and now the death timers have ramped up to the stage where this is really going to hurt Dignitas. They can't make that huge push down the mid lane. This will hurt them hugely.
Wait, couldn't they have... I actually think they could have base raised there, if you think about it, because they were much closer to the Reds' base there. But as it happens, it looks like they're now going to be forced to defend this 4-on-5. They do have enough damage to shred through everyone on the team, but it's so dangerous.
They can indeed, but they don't have the peel now for Samwise in the form of fresh Arcane Barrage comes in, and the Arcano Pulse. They're doing incredible amounts of damage to the whole team of Red, however, and Shen is forced to back off. Demenko for only using his ultimate and gets nuked down before he can really become a factor. 1-for-1 trade overall, with Yarrow still being in the death chamber, and Jarvan just hops over the wall. Stellar defense by Dignitas.
They're just so good at defending. As has been mentioned time and time again, if you dive onto the team of Dignitas, which was pretty much what the Red were trying to do there, it just doesn't work out for you. I feel if they had made the decision, the core... Actually, Samwai's potentially going to be dying here.
Yeah, taking a huge amounts of damage from Oriana as she dips in and out. Both of them rocking out the Banshee's Veils. But Jarvan over the wall, looking for this pick to happen. And the Stun United, they're looking to split up Dignitas. Samwise gets caught and nuked down in an instant. And they pick up Alchemist. Both of the bruisers on his face. Not going to take him down very quickly because of his passive. And now Impaler jumps over the wall at the wrong time, trying to save Alchemist. Getting completely decimated. 2-for-0 trade. Jumps over the wall. But honestly, in vain at this stage. Impaler might actually get out of this one alive. Could go into the top lane. Gonna go ahead and recall instead. Yero comes back in, pops down the box, but in fact, they're not even bothered about him because mid lane is looking more attractive.
There is absolutely no reason for them to bother because right now, 3 versus 5 and both of the huge damage threats on Dignitas that have done so well up till now of keeping themselves alive are dead. That means they can just afford to tank through the towers and the bruisers are going to be forced to go all in to stop them.
Yeah, they have so little damage though, and the shockwave comes out. They're not taking that much damage in return, but it's enough for them not really to care about. Now they turn onto Nitrix. He's getting chunked down, looking to retreat to the turret. But meanwhile, they just hammer away at these Nexus turrets. Samwise, 5 seconds to go. Impaler is trying his best to try and zone them away from the Nexus, but it's just all in right now for Red, and that's the GG.
GG, well played. A really fun game to watch, and it goes in the favor of the Red, who, for me at least, I'd never seen before, but now I am looking forward to seeing them again. In fact, it makes my predictions look a little bit iffy, because there were some predictions that we had to put up on the Weplay website. But regardless, guys, while we wait for the next game to get up and running, we will just be going into a quick break. So we'll see you after this when we get the lobby going, and don't go anywhere. It looks like it's going to be a good series.